seated.
All right, and we can have the witness come back to stand. So I'll just remind you, you are still in the room.
Yes, sir.
All right, so where we left off in the interview, you guys kind of took a break for a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay, and when you come back, there's some further discussion about some basic farming and then details of the weekend of April 25th, 2021. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll continue to play that, Your Honor. Can we just ask, Your Honor, if it's too loud or if there's an issue with that thing up there? Too loud?
Turn it down. It's a little loud.
Okay.
Where do you live? Right here, East Lansing? Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, it's right.
Your Honor, is it appropriate to ask the jury if this is better than before when they were trying to listen or worse? Because the speaker is supposed to make it better, but we just want to make sure it didn't make it worse.
Is there anyone?
Better? Okay. Great.
Okay. Thank you.
I was school. Oh, yeah. Just about half the year. So DCO used to be work aware commercials now. Oh, yeah. And they knew they were at the school. So Michigan State took law school, so they had sort of a professional relationship for a while. And then basically Michigan State was working and they became Michigan State Law School. Oh. So I was I actually was working in Washington at the time and was going to stay there and go to law school. I said, if you're not going to law school, try to make fit. I gave me kind of university at the time. Didn't want to be in the fishbowl. Didn't want to stay there. I was going to use that. I think a little chance. It was in the 80s. I think I was pretty good experience. And I don't know what that was like. The 80s, 740. We doing that? I had to get it in. I got it. So I'm driving down. Driving down here this morning, I'm listening to the tape, right? And like everybody, I'm kind of excited about the Lions and what's going on. I mean, you know. But I actually remember when the Lions used to be sort of good back in the, late 80s, early 90s. My dad was Wayne Fine Station. They were really good friends. Oh, yeah. And so we used to spend a lot of time doing Lions games and stuff. And then after that, the Millstone for over 30 years. And yeah, I went to the national championship game in 1991. They lost to the Redskins. The Redskins ended up coming to Marker in the Super Bowl. It was the last time the Lions were in.
Last time I went to play out there in 91.
Yeah, they beat the Cowboys at Silver so that game. A couple of years after that, maybe 92, 93, they really playoffs against Green Bay and certainly Sheriff and overtime.
it, so.
Also, it's got two passes on radio this morning. The Lions could win a playoff game for the first time in my life. You aren't old enough to remember that.
If I could ask you a generic farming question, Dale, could you, in 30 seconds if possible, describe like the seasons of a farmer? So winter, spring, summer, what are you doing through those seasons?
I asked him the same question.
Right now, we're still, marking our crop from this year.
When you say marketing, you literally mean selling?
Yeah, marking.
Okay.
Selling. I'm looking at, purchasing the inputs, ours, chemicals and fertilizers and seed for next year.
Okay.
We're getting machinery in and getting it retooled, redone for next year. We'll be taking, as we're going through here in February, we'll be getting orders of hopefully what application jobs we're gonna do for someone else, or what their needs are gonna be, so we're in the building. Our seed corn will be coming, they call it here, the other day, want to bring seed, I'm like, I don't want seed yet. But we like the first year to start bringing seed in, we start putting it in the door.
Okay.
And they'll start bringing out soybean seed and put it in their own tanks. Basically, we're getting machinery around up until February, March.
And what happens in February, March this year?
March is, depends on what Mother Nature does, but March will be the time that you can start putting some Megacin, or you can put in some fertilizer, get the fertilizer to dry, so it depends on what crops you're doing. We talk about some wheat,
What does that mean?
put fertilizer in
Wheat,
wheat. You got wheat, winter wheat was planted, here a month or two ago.
Okay.
We got put the fertilizer on it, and put it on once either, while the wheat's still dormant, it doesn't come out of dormancy until the weather starts warming up.
Okay.
The yard starts getting rain, wheat's coming out of dormancy. So
Okay.
we get the fertilizer on, so when it comes out of dormancy, the fertilizers have the nitrogen, everything's got nitrogen for wheat, so it's there to get corn. We scout for weeds and bugs. Your first application, we spray 4 times. So you'll be out there, you put your fertilizer on, first application, like February, March. Second application, you'll be out, putting more fertilizer on, and probably an insecticide, or herbicide. Third one would be doing for fungus, and the fourth one would be for fungus and insects. And we rate up in probably May will be your last application, unless you get. It depends on if you get a lot of moisture, fungus will grow for molds and stuff, you'll have to spray for mold in the wheat. If you get some weevils or different insects will come in, you can spray for those. And at the same time, you're doing burn down, which is spraying like around 240 unit kill weeds or field. So you go through the tillage equipment, it's not all up and make a mess. Put on fertilizer then, for seed, nitrous seed, players, you put more fertilizer on. Then you're gonna go out and spray an application of Roundup, so post-emergent spraying, which would be like atrazine, metallochlor, which is all keeps the weeds from coming up. You go back out again. July, middle of June, top dress, which is putting in more fertilizer for the corn. If you're looking for insects and weeds, you gotta spray. And you get towards the middle to end of July, you get close to tassel where it's gonna be pollinating. We got a thing that they call soot, black soot. There's different diseases that are coming into the farm right now. We're out spraying with everything to stop the black smut and stuff from coming in. And then we start your harvest with the beans. I mean, you're scouting beans in July. We're getting Chinese beetles and different insects. Spraying is it never ends.
You just keep track of all the stuff in your head, and you have a schedule, a formal schedule for everything.
A lot of it's in my head, by the seasons. It's just,
And even, I mean, I'm
your
assuming
body knows when this is coming, or I mean, the weather.
that's what I was gonna say, the weather, I mean, you can't predict, like, it's been unreasonably warm, and so coming up right now, not that things would be
I
kind
mean, I've done this my whole life, so it's just.
You use the farmer's own,
It's hard to find them anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to get them anymore. But you do, there's a lot of things that I.
He's in charge of something, so yeah, dude.
There's so many things that I would remember to tell you because it's all second nature now. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
I say go plant corn, well, I already know where all of it is. You're gonna go, well, what I have to do. There's things, that's my son and stuff. And you tell me everything, assuming that I know what you're talking about. It's just two different lives. It's just second nature, same reason.
And outside of your, when I say your farming, I'm referring to the land that you own, when it comes to, please correct me if I'm vernacular is gonna be wrong, when it comes to land you were contracted to spray or fertilize, do you have a formal schedule for that, or how does that work? So let's say I own 100 acres and I'm gonna hire you to spray. Do you schedule a specific day with me, or how does that work?
You're gonna call me and say, I've got 100 acres of corn, I want you to spray. I'm gonna ask, when did you plant it? You know, how big is the corn now? What fertilizer do you have on, what do you have on, do you have any chemicals, have you done anything? Did you till it, or is it no-till? No-till means you just went out and planted it, you didn't till the ground, so you didn't kill any weeds or string the ground. I'm gonna ask you those questions, and then I'm gonna go out and look at it. Well, okay, you planted it the other day, so I know you planted it on Monday, well, okay, I got 2 weeks before I really have to be concerned about it. Things will be good, so I run over it and pop back up. If it gets over this tall, you run over it instead. It's cool. So I'm gonna come out and look at it, and I'm gonna ask you what weeds you have. Do you have a lot of thistles? Do you have broadleaf weeds, grasses? So I know what chemistry I have to use to keep it clean. And if you plant around ready corn, you're gonna have liquid link. Do you have
Are those brands, or what is that?
that's resistance to different herbicides.
Okay.
Round of ready, you can spray it on, it won't be Liberty Link, you can spray Liberty on it, it won't kill it. There's different ones, there's a BT, formula resistant for bugs that usually die. There's a rootworm resistant, I can need to put like chlorophos on or something for insecticides. And you're gonna answer all those questions, I'm gonna come out and look at it and go, okay, looks decent, this is what we're gonna use, and I'm gonna come back and spray it. And it's gonna be determined by, if we had rain today, I'm not gonna go out there tomorrow, because I'm not gonna sink in and let your field up, the way it was dry, schedule by. If they're calling for rain tomorrow, well, no, I don't wanna spray it tomorrow, because this stuff, spraying takes 4 hours. It's gotta be on the plant or be there 4 hours before, so I don't spray it, for rain an hour later, well, we just wasted $30-40 an acre. So after we drink all that, and you gotta make sure the wind can't be blowing, if you're in a subdivision, I don't want this stuff blowing over on the neighbors, killing their grass, if the kids are out there, they're gonna be turning in, and I'm drifting on them, so I mean, as far as we schedule, I'm gonna be there Monday to spray it at 9 o'clock, that will happen. So it's gonna be when the weather's right, and you have faith in me that.
Within a window of the appropriate time for that plant, essentially, right? Okay. You know you look at it, you know you have 5 days, you're gonna be there within that 5-day period, but it's never, I'm gonna be here this morning or that morning.
Right, okay, you're gonna be there when, I mean, there's mornings when it's real calm out and there's no wind, great, let's go spray. And there's days that it doesn't stop blowing, you can't spray it all, you have the competition on spraying still.
And is what you just described as far as your scheduling things, is that Dale or the kind of the generic farmer? Say, is kind of everyone operate that way, or is that just your
Everyone
one?
should, but everyone don't.
I mean, as far as scheduling, is that,
Well, if you go to the countries of the world, they're gonna schedule, we're gonna be at your farm on Monday, you don't know what time, they're gonna be there Monday, they're gonna be Tuesday. And what they're gonna do for wind's blowing, they're gonna put a drift agent in the tank, it's gonna cost about $10-12 an acre. Or they're gonna tweak, there's different chemistries you can do, we're gonna put on more gallons, so we're gonna put on more volume, so the wind won't blow it. Or we're gonna put on less, we cover more acres, because you got 100 acres, we can only carry 80 acres in our tanks, we're gonna cut back, so put 15 gallons on, we're gonna put 10, so we can get it 1
state license for that? Can you tell me about that?
Get a license from the state.
Okay. Is that governed by Laura or somebody else?
I think Laura and MMDA.
Okay. And what sort of chemicals do you have on hand on the farm?
Oh, I can tell you for sure without looking through it right now. Usually Roundup action. Normal herbicides.
Okay. Anything else?
Insecticides. What do you mean on?
I don't know, it's not on the farm. Oh, somebody you just tell me this
You're
stuff.
gonna have Roundup.
Okay.
You're gonna have atrazine or metallichlor, which is a chemical you put down that stays there for 30, 40 days.
Mm.
You're gonna have some kind of insecticide, that'll kill the bugs. You're gonna have some surfactants to make it stick to the plant so it won't hit. Ammonium sulfate, which is dry and softens the water to make it slipperier so the chemicals work better.
Okay.
As far as, you're not gonna have a lot of stuff sitting there, like, I mean, this is the time of year that we can take an order, so we get a lot of stuff in the spring, so you have it there. But like now, there's hardly anything in the barn because you don't carry it until it should be money on it.
Right, you don't advise when needed.
Right.
Right, okay. Okay. Do you have a question on that? I don't know, I'm moving to the weekend.
No, please.
Okay. Tell us what you remember, and I'm referring to the weekend that, the weekend of April 24th and 25th, right, that weekend. So tell us what you remember from Saturday.
Saturday. Saturday, I think, is the day that he called me all upset that she was hindsight now, looking back, this is weirder than the weird to me. Dee's been gone an hour, so 2 hours, and the kids are here all in a panic, and she's left countless times. This is weird. And then Zach's in the office going through the security cameras, trying to figure out where's mom's at. He wasn't going through the security cameras, he was deleting shit off the cameras because he picked his mom up and he wanted to go track. That's
If I can, I'm sorry for cutting off on anytime, I appreciate the information, but specifically to Saturday, can you describe the source of Dee's anger? What caused her to get upset that day? Can you talk to us about that?
I guess she got into it with Terry, one of our drivers, over something his girlfriend or his wife or his ex-wife or ex-wife had done. I guess they had a big argument and he quit. And then she got into an argument with Todd that day over dispatching or Terry or who knows what else they were arguing. He just said he called her out and said, I know what you're not doing. You're taking this money and not doing this.
It's been told to us that you had informed the employees, however that happened, that she was taking Xanax and she didn't take kindly to that. Can you describe that to us? So we were told that you had informed, whether it was Todd or Carrie or both of them, that Dee was taking Xanax and that was a source, a portion of her being upset that day. Okay. The way it was presented to us was, and I'm paraphrasing, Dale went behind her back and told the employee she's taking Xanax, and I believe that she don't be able to know, essentially. Okay. So outside of the phone call you had with her at the soccer game, can you go back to that? What happened from that?
I didn't talk to her the rest of the year. I tried calling her several times, but she wouldn't answer her phone. I was spaced, I don't know, we finished with tile, and I can't remember if I went to the sprayer and spray more. But I know I had to take Todd down to, actually, that was the day I took Todd down to Harrisburg, and one of the trucks and bring back home. And I asked Todd on the way, and he said, yeah, he got into it, but he didn't really say much. I called her out. Terry quit today, and Terry couldn't know what the hell they could do about best drivers.
What was your instinct then? Do you think this is going to resolve itself, or what did you think at the time? Is this spat kind of counting?
I figured, you know, I'm gonna have to go out and talk to Terry, go back to work on Monday, this is all old, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna go in the house tonight, you know, thinking this, I'm gonna go in the house tonight, I asked you for something that I didn't, I know nothing that went down, I'm gonna get chewed out because I didn't stick up for her with the Terry argument. So I know I'm gonna lose this battle already, even though she's on her
so you come home on Saturday, and what happens then?
I come home on Saturday. This is just the house. Then I call my son, he's still spraying fertilizer. So I go in the house to see Dee, and she's questioning me about, I already asked her what's going on with Angelina. She says Angelina's going home from her brother's house, and I'm like, why? It's like 8 o'clock at night, why is she going there now? Because Amy called, and she's going over, okay, so I gotta go to town to do chores, check the cattle, see Angelina. No, Amy's going to get her, okay. So I go over, the times, check the cattle, feed them, talk to them, finish off, and stuff, and then I sent her over there. Come back, come to the house, and it's like I've had Amy on the door, she was coming. I can't remember if Amy was there when I left or when I came back. But Amy was there, she didn't say nothing, she's actually left in the house. Tried talking to Dee, and she's all upset. I says, okay, so I will talk about it. She says, we're all in, we're all in. I know, told me this. Terry quit. I was like, yeah, I heard Terry quit, Todd's upset with me. I says, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to stay home, take care of 4 of the kids? What do you want to do? First she tried screaming, started getting fun. I tried to sit down, talking to her, and then she got this. She says, you're using this kind of shit on me. And I was just trying not to say anything because it make it worse. And be like, no, just sit down, talk it out, figure it out. She's talking to me, she's still mad about Terry. She's going on to tell me how Terry's girlfriend did this or did that. I said, Terry, this is not a box. You know, back to me. I do this, but they came back to me. I can't tell Terry what to do. I was like, I can see that she was starting to get wider, but she was over here, and she's looking over here talking, like she's talking to me. I says, you need to migrate. Yeah. I says, you can't see me. Jaded. I says, you have to. It's migrating. So I went over and asked some stuff out of her, so we cooked, and that's what she said. I got some breakfast agreements to come see. They had steak or something set up. So she got those out, she got it over, she started to cut it, I think she cut her finger, and she was doing this, stop. I kind of warmed up. We ate some breakfast, she ate a little bit, this is, are you feeling better? Yeah, I can tell she wasn't, because her face was sadness, and her words were a little slurred, she said, I gotta take one of my pills. So she went over to the other, I threw her pills, I was like, oh, I took it. She went in and sat down and talked, and she still, says, you gotta drink something too, because you're getting dehydrated, that's why you're having this problem. And she's like, no, and she's just crying, I just don't know what to do, like, I don't know what to do. I said, just lay down, rest, watch a movie. That's what we did. Now she just brought her back a little bit, she was supposed to be put pressure on her head to make it feel a little better. Brought her back her neck, and she said, we get better, she's talking a little bit, I thought things were getting better. Then we went to sleep. I got up in the morning, she was there, I just sneaked out because, she's been out, stronger, going to work.
You had previously described this as one of the worst arguments you had had. Can you describe that to us?
That was one of the worst arguments that we've had in a way that she's never said we're all done. I was confused when she's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I get into it more, we're all done. A year and a half later, she couldn't come to the line anymore. I told you that she took the stuff they done with the computer, the big stuff, and now it's all we found.
Yeah.
She can't hide it.
You had previously stated that you gave her some medicine.
I never gave her medicine.
Okay, any idea why you might have said that then?
Yeah, I don't remember possibly that, because she always had her own stuff.
Okay. No idea why you might have been mistaken about a different day or something?
Maybe I wouldn't take medicine off for her at the pharmacy.
Okay, that specific day or another time?
Another time.
Okay.
I did it for that day.
Okay. So I want to be clear, you did not physically give her any medicine? The medicine she took, she obtained herself from wherever?
Yeah.
Okay. And you only saw her take, you saw her take
I
one
didn't see
pill?
what
or-
she took. She,
Okay.
living room's here, the medicine she's got in the counter, when she went over the gap, and she's doing that.
You're referring to the counter with the wood over it, kind of a dining room table?
The bar that's off, so you don't take the wine ready.
That,
Yeah,
okay,
that
oh,
covers
okay.
it, that covers
You and I
it.
still get together on the phone over there, okay.
Yeah, that cover right there's where she got over the medicine. Her medicine was there, the rest of the medicine, like for aspirins and normal household stuff, was all over in the kitchen.
Okay.
Kept it over there, she kept all hers separate over there, so there's no everything. But I was over by the kitchen part, getting, the food warmed up, and she's, I'm gonna get a pill or whatever. She went over there, got something on the cover, took it, come back and sit down. She ate.
Okay. And then, what time do you and her fall asleep?
I was thinking it was about 12 o'clock, probably. I was thinking it was later, but it was around about 12 o'clock.
Okay. Can you describe that?
Just, asleep.
Where? Sorry.
In the living room.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Okay, specifically where on the,
On the floor.
okay, is that common?
Yeah.
And how often do you sleep on the living room floor?
Just about every day.
Oh, really? Okay, why is that?
We always did in our old house, we always just like throw the TV and watch TV and like on the floor, so.
Okay. And you slept there all night, each of you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, what time did you wake up?
It was around 6 o'clock.
And, what's a normal morning for you? What do you, in great detail as you can tell, what do you do when you wake up?
I get up, I'll get my clothes on, usually brush my teeth, grab my watch, my phone, get dressed, and then take my blood pressure pill, I take my pill every morning, and I head out.
Okay, now that is in general, or that's what happened that Sunday morning?
I should know what happened that day. Just come back in the morning, get up.
And how long does that process take you?
10, 15, that morning, I think I had to go downstairs because that's right, usually I just did the transplants. We did it all, you seen the transplants downstairs? Yeah. You guys went through it.
What's a transplant, sorry?
We started vegetables and
Ah, yeah.
trays,
Okay.
so it's trays downstairs, and I think the day before, Angelina and I just put the seeds in, I think I went down that morning, I had to water it for the last. So I went right downstairs, put water in the transplants, I probably went downstairs twice. Came water down, water the transplants, all that kind of stuff, put those on. I went,
Okay, so I'm gonna start you really slow. So you wake up, you're on the floor, and what's the first thing you do?
get up, and walk over, take my blood pressure pill, and start getting my clothes on, because I'm in uniform in the garage.
Okay,
So I'll get up, I'll go over, get a glass of water, try to do it every morning. First thing I do is take my blood pressure pill, I forget. Get that out, take my pill, go to the garage, pick the uniforms up off the floor, so I took out the night before on the floor, picked them up. Came out the garage, get my new uniforms out, and put them on, go to bed, brush my teeth. Go back out, so I have to grab my phone, my watch. This is my routine I do every day.
okay,
Then on the counter, if I always make myself notes of what I need to do for the day. I don't have my paper, but on that day, I'm sure I had a note where I was supposed to go spray and what I need to do, so that I didn't forget anything. I don't separate that corner, it's on the top. Back quick, I went out, the back door, got in the Kubota, the gate. Usually I make a circle around the back of the farm, and I'll do it as I go out, and then I'll in the grass. If there's nothing to do with the grass, I'll try to stick my hand out, hands all back. I'll do different stuff for the paint. It's dry, but it goes some different additives in it. Something like, if I don't get the sprayer started, I'll come back, I'll go get the JCB out of the barn. If I have a cooler for lunch, I'll run back in the house, grab it out, walk in, take it with me. Start loading up the sprayer.
do you typically shower in the morning? No, you shower in the evening, I presume?
Usually right before I go to bed.
Okay, so, I wanna make sure I'm clear. You wake up, take a blood pressure pill, grab your clothes in the, grab a glass of water, grab your clothes in the garage, come into the bedroom, maybe the bathroom, brush your teeth, get ready, dressed.
I get dressed out in the kitchen.
Okay, get dressed and we're just in the house, there's irrelevant. And then you grab your phone or your watch, and then do you eat breakfast in the morning, or you're ready to leave? Okay, so specifically on that Sunday morning, what happens from that? You're dressed, you take your blood pressure pill, you have your phone or your watch, what do you do next?
I'll brush my teeth, get my phone out,
which door is common for you?
Whichever one,
Okay.
it don't matter.
Okay.
So sometimes I go to the backside door, sometimes usually I try to go off to the garage
Okay.
or the laundry room. I mean, just wherever I park the Kubota, where, you know, I gotta feed the dogs first thing I go to the garage, cause I gotta grab two cans of dog food. Or if I don't have a dog, food, I gotta go out to the shop and get it, take it, so I can just,
Okay. And I apologize. So you leave out through whatever door, or the first thing you do?
first thing I'll do is I'll go break out, let the dogs out, then I'll get in the Kubota, the hedge over on me and see if there's any dew on it. Well, start the sprayer out, and check the whole stuff on it. Then hopefully I remember to take my fucking list, cause on the counter, if I don't, create a list, where I'm gonna spray, see what chemistry I put in.
Okay.
So that day, you know, I had that finished the week from Leroy's and on my list.
And how many acres is Levi's? How many did you spray?
I have to look in the book to sure, I think it was only 10. It took me more time to get out down and then
Okay. How long is 10 acres on the take it? Okay.
it's a longer than full. There, Leroy's is down there, I did the weed, come back. Seemed like I had a flusher in, so I gotta go down about 3 times with water, pull it back, and go, straight to the road, rinse the book out 3 times, come back in. Look and see if I got any other chemistry that'll take the blower to the JCB. Kubota, the front buildings where we keep the chems. I keep some back right loaded, but all the small stuff, it's little jugs or little things we keep up by the office, so if somebody shows up to buy some, we just, the girls can go to the market, just get a jug outside for $1 a
Okay.
so I'll go there and get what I need from my job, so I'll go back to the Kubota, drive back to the barn, or if it's more than fit the Kubota, I'll take the JCB up there and forklift, bring my pallet out. So that morning, I think I made 2 or 3 trips with the Kubota, get different jugs, because that just, that's all on my sheet right there, my sheets.
Okay.
So my log sheets, I mean, if you ask what time I went to Leroy's, I mean, go get my sheet, and tell us what time I loaded the barn, what time I got to Leroy's, and when I'm back, because I'm loading the next one up, there right on the gales, and everything, in the tank, in the water. That's, you know, like in the sprayer, I write down the sprayer when I leave the field, I try to write down, you know, the acres in it, whose name it is, so there's, I'm trying to double up so I don't miss it.
Right.
So that I've got those 2.
Okay. So you walk into the house, you go to feed the dogs, and what's the next thing you do? And you get a talk city thing. When you say Kubota, what are you referring to?
That's a little, what you call it, a little ATV.
Okay. Like a side-by-side with a little cargo area?
Yeah, it's
Okay. And where does that normally park?
It's usually parked out by the dogs right behind the garage.
Okay. And you
Depends
get,
on where it's, leaves at 10 or 8.
and you get that, and where do you go from there?
That morning, we drove around, last spring, we drove around the boundary of the farm. And I stick my hand out, the grass is up, so I'll feel the grass, see if there's dew on it or what it is.
Okay. And then what?
Then I go to the sprayer, I started, I'll check it out, I started, so it's warmed up a bit in there.
Okay.
That's not on my list, I've got a load.
Okay. And what happened from there?
Went to Leroy's, sprayed that, back, and it was out, and everything again. Went to the roads, sprayed that,
Okay.
and then I loaded it up, I loaded it back, then also I got sprayed everything.
Okay. And can you describe to us what you do with the JCB that morning?
I would have pulled up, that was, pulled
show me, I think I know, show me where the dogs are.
Over here.
Okay, and then you jump in the Kubota?
Well, you should set one here by the house.
Okay,
After pulling down this way, if they drive around through here, see the grass.
that was gonna ask which field you're referring to.
There's no run through here, it's in the grass.
Okay,
Go around through here, wherever it is.
okay,
See how wet it is.
okay. And is that common for the farmers to check the grass each morning, or that's just part of what you do, so you know what's gonna do? Okay, okay. And then where was the sprayer parked? Is that where? Okay. And you started and leave it there while you're loading everything else up, you said it builds up air, is that so, like, if we go air and spray?
Well, suspension goes up those areas.
Which you started, okay. And where was the JCB park?
JCB's inside the barn here.
Okay. And you said you pulled up to the house, can you show me?
Pull out here, pull around this way, pull up over here. Grab what I need in the house, and back down. Stuff on the barn.
Okay, if you want to make some notes on here with you, that's okay.
It's fine.
So you said this is the Kubota?
Yeah.
Could you just draw next to the Kubota with us? You got a better pen there, Mark? That might work. We're failing on all fronts here, Carmen.
Maybe it's the paper, this is paper, so
There we go. And then, where is the, if you can mark the sprayer, is it out on the paper, that mark? It's okay. And where's the JCB part? And then could you just draw next on there for me, to make sure I understand? Different people call the buildings different things, so I don't want to make sure. Okay, what do they call the dry barn with that?
This is the tractor barn.
Oh, okay, and then there's a wet barn, does that make sense?
The little barn over here.
That's, see, that's what I mean, it's different people. Okay. Okay, and then you pull onto the GCD and can you show me where you parked it behind the house?
Now, pull up here,
Okay, can you mark that for me?
pull up here.
Okay, and then, where do you go from there?
Where I go from here.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back down, around through here, get stuff on the barn. Here, stuff up here.
Okay. And then what happens after that? You drive the JCB over there, and you're here in the JCB, and then what happens?
Sprayer.
Okay. And when you, how many minutes do you think from when you were in the house to when you got over here and left in the sprayer, how many minutes is that, if you have to guess, that Sunday morning?
Before I left with the sprayer.
Correct.
Go ahead. Check my book. Tell me what I was looking at.
If you have to guess, do you think it's, is this an hour-long process? Is this
half
half
an
an
hour,
hour?
45 minutes.
Okay. And
Because I don't, I'm trying to remember if I had to rinse before I loaded the weed spray out, or if I rinsed. I don't remember, I'll look at my book, I actually have good copies of what I have in my book.
not with me now. So,
See, because I keep that book in there on the shelf, so if I spray atrazine, say, with it yesterday, now I'm going out there and I got spray weed, I'll look at that book, I had atrazine there, oh fuck, I cannot spray weed with atrazine.
I see.
So now I'm gonna rinse out, so now I got.
those are the papers that you gave me.
Yeah,
We were out there one day.
yeah. They would have ran over the lumber.
That was a good one.
Do you guys know his nickname is now? Hummer.
Yeah, so,
I still haven't got that fixed.
Oh, really?
Conservative took it, they won't let me get it fixed.
Hmm.
No. I mean, without looking at the book, I can't tell if I had to come out and rinse. If I had to rinse, it'd be an hour. If I didn't rinse out, if I looked at half an hour, 45 minutes, I might get all the chemicals. The sprayer's in here, JCB's here, I come up here, got some stuff out of the building in the front here, took back, measured it out, because it's an ounce, so it's a little bottle, so you gotta really measure the shit out, right? Put the sprayer, and have it pulled out.
Okay.
I mean, it should be on the camera, because the camera, and I pulled the bar, will show you pulling it out of the sprayer.
Okay, and, specifically with the JCB, I think that's the most question I have asked that's out there. So the Justice for Deed crew, I shouldn't say that, at the time, I think the adult children perhaps park right seen the JCB tracks, and that's why they had asked you why you pulled to the houses. Is that accurate?
They didn't ask me.
Oh,
You
that's
say that they asked me?
correct.
They didn't ask me to pull the house.
Okay. Okay, that was understanding, because the JCB tracks were, Yeah, so,
Well, then I pulled the Hummer back around behind the house later that day, and I pulled it up next to the grass where I was parking.
right, so when they had seen the Hummer, you already moved back to the house and the JCB tracks were underneath it.
Oh, probably,
Okay,
probably,
and that's from when you pull up to the house?
yeah.
Okay, and the
Yeah,
JCB,
yeah, the JCB I pulled up there, the Hummer was out front, and never leave anything out front, because I was, they must have leaving the keys and everything.
yeah,
So
okay,
I jumped in the Hummer, pulled back around the house, and I pulled it over next to the grass and parked it.
in the normal spot essentially?
Well, normal spot's the garage, but we've been parking it outside because I think she had something else in the garage with her caddy, or she parked in the middle of her caddy. So I just pulled it over next to the grass, so it's out of the way, because the rest of the area there is where the rest of us park. You know, where I park mine, pick upstairs, Jared, or whoever pulls in, that's where they park.
Okay, so you got the JCB, pulled back into the house because you forgot your sheet or something, and you get back in and you go back to the barn and load the sprayer. And when you're in the house, she's sleeping, right, okay? So how did the Hummer get from behind the house to the office?
In that morning,
Yeah,
it was there when I came back, that's where Kellen, that was sleeping out front.
okay, where was it when you left?
When I left, it was out my house. I think, there was a, I don't remember.
Okay.
Seeing the Hummer, I mean, it's a lot, I don't
Okay.
remember. But I do remember driving it from in front of the office, parking it back behind the house, because we never leave anything out by the road.
Okay. So it was behind the house when you left?
I don't remember. I don't.
Okay,
Well, I guess easier when you left to go to Brooks or wherever, I wasn't parked in front of it.
I don't remember seeing it out there. I don't.
okay.
I mean, I don't remember sitting up there. I was almost like I didn't look that way. I mean, I can tell you where a piece of farm machine is. I can't tell you where the Hummer's at. It's just not something that I'm paying attention to.
Okay, so then you, get in a sprayer, you go down to Leroy's, and you spray, you said, remind me, sorry, how many acres at 10?
It was 10.
10 acres?
I mean, look, that.
Okay, and you come back, and then what happens?
I think I had to flush out the windows in that spray cap. I would probably jump to the Kubota again and pull out front, or I had enough, I don't remember if I had the chemistry in the barn or not.
Okay,
I loaded up, if I had rinse out, I'd pull them back every time it's rinsed out, pull back in loader. What's the next job?
and the next time, remind me, I'm sorry, you're going to, was it towards Brooklyn?
It was on Brooks.
Brooks, I'm sorry, okay. And then where do you go from there?
Then I went to Brooklyn.
Okay. And then what happens then?
That's when Stephanie called me, asked me if I needed that.
Okay, and, what do you do after that?
I had back to the house, making that spray.
Okay, and, who's there when you get home?
The kids were there.
The kids meeting, I'm sorry.
So then Zach, Cal,
too good of a trick, right?
No, I mean, if you're in the office, and you wanna look at the camera system when you're in the office, it'll work. If you're in the house, it'll work. If you're anywhere else, it don't work.
Okay.
Because you gotta have internet access, I guess, but with your phone, you shouldn't have to, and it don't work.
And do you have any other issues with your phone, or is it through with that app, do you think? It's the application itself?
I don't know, your phone's always had a glitch, you know, like, a lot of stuff don't work.
But by and large, it's this application that gives you issues. Okay. Do you pretty much carry your phone with you at all times?
Most of the time.
Okay. Specifically that Sunday, you had your phone with you all day?
I'm pretty sure I was the one.
Okay.
The only time you know is if you drop it somewhere, you're backtracking, trying to find it.
Yeah, you and me both. And that Sunday, do you remember about what time Stephanie called you to ask where Dee was?
I was thinking it was around 9 o'clock or 9:30.
Okay. And until that point, as far as you knew, she was at home, right? Okay. It was
I think
first.
I texted her, telling her I was spraying so that she could know where that.
Okay, but until then, things are normal, you don't know any different, right, essentially, okay? And then, what were you doing, okay, why did you access the Cadillac that morning? What did you go to the Cadillac for in the garage?
This is the cat.
You accessed the Cadillac, you couldn't hear why you would have done that. I'm not
Unless
sure.
there's something in it, I had to get out of the car.
I'm not sure.
If I opened the door, I got it out, but I didn't. She's got a key.
I'm not saying you drove it, I'm just saying you accessed it for some reason. You don't recall why. Okay.
Access it, I got it, you mean?
I-
Or did I look at it on my app on my phone?
I'm not certain what you did physically with the vehicle, but you had access to the car.
No, because I probably looked at my phone to see where it was at.
Okay.
That would be accessing.
Okay, I'm not familiar with what you can do with that.
And
So,
then OnStar, I mean, I sit down and start button on my phone, it tells me where it's at.
okay, and
Tell us about that.
yeah, tell us about that, I'm not familiar with that.
Just the OnStar, I mean, you got OnStar app on your phone, you can start the car, lock it, to your phone.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just look at the button, and tell me what car it's at, it's in the garage.
Okay, and for what purpose were you doing that morning?
They told me, well, it's not there, I want to see if the car's there.
Okay, so you would have accessed that app, and it tells you where the car is, and that's why you would have done it to see where she was.
Yeah, see if the car's on, so she can go.
Okay. And what about when you tried to locate her iPhone? For what purpose was that?
See what she's at.
Same thing.
Everybody was trying to find her on iPhone.
Okay. Okay. And it had been described to us that when things weren't comfortable between the two of you, she didn't like you knowing where she was. Did she know you had access to those things at the time?
So,
Was that ever a point of contention in recent times? You know, overall, there have been disagreements about that, but about leading up to this incident.
most of the property, she knew where I was at, but she could access my phone.
Okay.
It's kind of safety, that if I don't, she can't get ahold of me, she can find my phone, see where I'm at, and her, you know, she knew, same with her, she can find her.
Okay. Do you have any more questions about Sunday?
No, I don't think so. Anything further?
Okay.
All right, so during the course of that interview, you had the defendant draw on something. What was that?
It was a aerial view, a satellite image of the Munger farm.
I'm gonna hand you People's Exhibit 124, and we are going to, okay. We're gonna switch it out on the iPad. I'm gonna have you get it out, though. And is that the exhibit I've handed you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what was the point of that exercise?
The intention of reviewing this with Mr. Warner was to have him specifically mark where he parked the front end loader on 425, the morning of 425.
Okay. If I recall correctly, you had him draw 4 different X's on this map. Do you recall what the other X's were for?
Yes, there's one X in the very top right-hand corner that was to get the pen to work. There is one X directly north of the house where he indicated that he parked the front end loader. The other 2 X's.
Hold on, I'm gonna have you stop. So you said directly north of the house?
So in the image, you can see a white car.
Yes.
North of the house. There is an X to the right of that.
Okay,
That is where he indicated that he parked the front end loader.
okay. And do you recall what the other 2 X's are?
The other 2 X's are, I asked him miscellaneous questions about where he picked up the side-by-side from and where the front end loader was initially parked.
Okay. And why are you asking these questions?
The other 2 questions, honestly, were more of a decoy. The only thing I really wanted to know was where he parked that front end loader that morning.
And so at this point in time, had you reviewed some of the stuff but not all of the discovery in the case or the evidence that had been gathered so far?
I had reviewed probably in the high 90% of everything, if not everything in its entirety.
Okay, so why do you care where the JCB was parked that morning?
It was observed, there were tire tracks observed from the front end loader. And when asked about it, Mr. Warner later explained that he returned to the house in the front end loader.
Okay.
Where this X is marked and where those tracks were is also where the Hummer is typically parked and where it was parked that day. His statements were that Dee must have moved the Hummer to the office, but he states when he returns to the house in the front end loader and parks in this spot that she's inside sleeping. So then it begs the question of these 2 objects cannot be in the same place at the same time, which means the Hummer must have already have been moved when he pulled up to the house.
Okay. And you asked about a number, 3 other items. So first you asked about the, I believe the milestone.
Yes.
What was that?
Milestone is the application used to access the surveillance cameras on the Munger property.
Okay. And Find My iPhone, what's that?
Find My iPhone is an application. If you're granted permission between different Apple products, you can look at their geographic location on a map.
And the My Cadillac app, what's that?
That is another application offered by General Motors and or OnStar in which you can do a variety of things, including looking up the geographic location of a vehicle.
Why are you asking these questions?
All of those applications were accessed by Mr. Warner that morning, and they were all done prior to when he states that she realizes she's missing.
Prior to when he realizes she's missing?
He's very consistent in that the first time he knows that she's missing is when he receives a phone call at approximately 10:30. However, he accessed all of these applications, in his words, to find her well before he knows that she's missing.
Okay. So after you do this interview, you kind of continue this investigation for a couple years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And again, we're going to get into the rest of the details of that investigation at a later point in time. I want to focus right now on August 16th of 2024. What happened on that day?
On August 16th of 24, I executed a search warrant to look for anhydrous ammonia tanks at a property on Paragon Road.
Okay. Were there 2 properties that were searched for anhydrous tanks?
Yes, there was also a property searched on Carson, just north of Munger, kitty corner from the Munger property.
Okay. I'm going to show you a handful of exhibits, sir. First, Exhibit 90. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, where's that location?
That is at the barn I searched on Paragon Road.
Okay, and was this photograph taken August 16th, 24?
Yes.
Exhibit 91. What's this?
This is at the same location. This photo was also taken on that date.
Okay. 92.
The same thing, ma'am, on Paragon Road, also taken on that date.
Okay. 93.
This is outside of that barn, the same location, also taken on that date.
Exhibit 94.
The same, ma'am.
Exhibit 95.
The same.
Same date and location?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Exhibit 96.
Same date and location, ma'am.
Okay. Exhibit 97.
Same date and location, just outside of the barn.
Okay. Exhibit 98.
Same date and location inside of that barn.
Exhibit 99.
Same date and location on the outside of the barn.
Okay. Exhibit 100. Okay. What's this?
This is inside of a separate portion of the barn, taken on that same date at that same location on Paragon Road.
Did you make observations on this tank?
Yes, initially it stood out because all of the other tanks were outside and or in the open portion of the barns by one another. However, this tank was by itself in this area.
Okay. Did you make any other observations?
Yes. On the, in this image, what would be the back or the left-hand side of the tank, there was a non-factory weld visible from the outside.
Okay. Exhibit 105, I'm gonna have you look at that. Is that one of the welds you were just discussing?
Yes, this is the, so this is that back end of the tank. Obviously, this is the top of the picture is the top end of the tank.
All right. Exhibit 73. Is this another portion of the weld that you observed?
Yeah, so this would be the bottom of the tank and or if you're going from top to bottom, a continuation going downward from the previous photo.
Okay. I'm going to show you Exhibit 101. What's this?
This was a handwritten note that was wire tied to the valve on top of the tank.
Okay. When you say the tank, are you referring to tank 34 that was in Exhibit 100 that you just detailed?
The previous photos, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm going to hand you Exhibit 102. You still have the scissors?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know that we need it open until the jury wants to see it. Okay, what is Exhibit 102?
This is that tag that's pictured in this image.
Okay, is there a writing on both sides of that tag?
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit 103. What's this?
This is the same tag as a previous image, just depicting the writing on the other side of it.
All right. Exhibit 104.
This is just an overview of that portion of the tank. You can see that tag on the right-hand side.
Okay. And again, all of these photographs were taken on August 16th, 2024?
Yes.
Okay. After you made those observations, what did you do with that tank?
I contacted a tow truck company, and I escorted it to the Ambassador Bridge for an x-ray.
I'm going to have you look at Exhibit 106. And is that the image you received from the Ambassador Bridge?
That's correct.
Again, this was on that same date that you observed the other tanks, 8/16/2024?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Based on this x-ray, what did you do next?
I escorted the tank to the Michigan State Police Crime Lab in Northville for some preliminary evidence collection. From there, it was escorted to the Monroe Post for secured storage until we could make arrangements to open it the next day.
Okay. And did you in fact open it the next day?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna have you look at Exhibit 107. What's that?
That is that same Actually, that is the opposite end of the tank that I observed the non-factory weld on. We cut basically a window into the tank so we could take some images and gather some, an idea of what was inside of it before we continued cutting it open.
Okay, and this was on August 17th, 2024?
Yes.
All right. What did you observe when you placed that camera inside there?
With the light that I'm holding, you can see inside of the tank that there was something wrapped inside of a blue tarp.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 108. Is that what you observed in there?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you made that observation, what did you do?
Once we gathered some videos and photos of it, we then continued opening the tank, essentially almost like a cigar cut, removing that end that we made that pilot hole on.
Okay, and then what?
Once it was open, we were able to remove the object that was wrapped inside of the blue tarp.
Okay, and what was the object inside the tarp?
It was human remains.
What did you do with the human remains?
The remains were escorted to the medical examiner's office to have an autopsy performed.
Do you know if there were any chemicals inside that tank?
Yes.
All right, describe to me if you can estimate an amount of chemicals in there.
Laying along the bottom of the tank, there may have been a ½ inch to an inch of what smelled like ammonia.
What about the tank? What was done with the tank?
From there, the tank was escorted to more long-term storage until it could be evaluated at another date.
Okay, was that tank processed?
Yes.
All right, was it processed on the 17th or a different day?
It was processed by lab personnel on the 16th and 17th.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I would be tendering Detective Drewyor to Ms. Charday with the understanding that I am calling him back to actually get into the details of the investigation at a later point.
All right, Ms. Shardy.
Thank you. Detective Lieutenant Drewyor, my understanding is you are going to be coming back to the stand and testifying next week? Is that accurate? That's your understanding as well? Okay,
I don't know
great.
for the question. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, sure. I should have a question mark at the end. Is it your understanding, having just heard Ms. Wise, that you are going to be testifying next week as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to save my questions for next week. I don't want to bifurcate them. Okay, thank you, sir.
Can I ask counsel to approach briefly? Okay, so I've had a brief discussion with counsel at the bench. My understanding that both sides are in agreement with holding off on any questions from the jurors until Detective Drewyor has been back to finish his testimony. Is that accurate?
That's correct, Your Honor.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Detective Drewyor, you can step down.
Should take these exhibits, Judge.
You can take those with you, yes. All right, so at this point, we will take a recess. I think there's some technology we need to set up in the courtroom for the next witness, so we will do that, and we'll bring the jury back in when we're ready to proceed. anything we need to address outside the presence of the jury at this point?
Yes, Your Honor. The court previously ruled on a motion for a protective order regarding the autopsy photos. I would ask to amend the order. We want to be able to show the jury the autopsy photos while Dr. Cho testifies. However, we do not want those photographs to be publicized, recorded, or anything, any photographs, live streamed, nothing. So we would ask for a protective order over that.
Okay, Ms. Chartier.
We're in agreement with that, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, the court is permitted by MCR 2.302C, which applies to criminal cases, through MCR 600.001D to issue protective orders to prevent annoyance, embarrassment, or oppression. Based on my prior review of the photographs that are the subject of the people's motion, the court finds that unauthorized proliferation of these images would constitute a significant and irreparable injury to the victim's family based on the nature of those photographs. So I am going to grant that protective order. The decision, I believe, is further grounded in the court's inherent supervisory power over its own records and files to prevent them from becoming a vehicle for improper purposes, as was recognized by the Supreme Court in Nixon versus Warner. I am mindful that this is not a FOIA proceeding. The dignitary privacy interest of survivors has been recognized in National Archives and Records Administration versus Favish, another United States Supreme Court case, which established a compelling interest that the court must weigh against the public's right of access. Again, although that court involved analysis under the Freedom of Information Act, the interest identified by the Supreme Court in that case remains a compelling factor in this case. That interest is further reflected in the public policy of the state of Michigan as codified by the legislature in MCL 333.2855A, which restricts the public display of autopsy photographs except under limited and controlled circumstances. To balance these interests and pursuant to the court's authority under MCR 8.115 to manage a courtroom and conduct and recording, at this point I am going to order that while the autopsy photographs are available for public viewing as presented in open court, that the physical or digital copying, scanning, or reproduction of these exhibits by any member of the media or any member of the public is prohibited. No person shall use any camera, recording device, or any device of any kind to capture these images while they are being displayed in the courtroom. I don't believe this order is a prior restraint on reporting, as the media remains free to describe evidence and testimony in detail. I think this is narrowly tailored on the reproduction and distribution of sensitive judicial records, which are intended to protect the privacy of the survivors while maintaining the transparency of these criminal proceedings. So that will be the court's order with respect to the autopsy photographs. Anything else we need to address at this point?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
No, thank you.
Okay. We'll take, well, I'm not quite sure how long this break will be because we'll need to set up the screens for the jury.